How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another Box to Box. The last Box to Box of January. There's a little winter break coming up, a little break for the teams. Albeit with Burnley, you've had a little break there, Joe. I'm welcoming Joe to Box from Turfcast. I've looked at the Premier League table, and although Burnley are bottom of the league, I look at Norwich in 17th, and you've got 5 games in hand on them. You've got a couple on the teams above you. How you feeling, Joe, at the moment with Burnley's situation and the games in hand and all of that?
I'd rather have points. I'd rather have points on the board. And there's these weird situations cropping up where we could have played Everton on Boxing Day, and now we're playing them without Rafa Benitez, and they'll probably have a new manager in. So they'll have the new manager bounce and stuff. And I felt that we probably could have beaten them with the form that they were in. So I'd rather have got that game out of the way. But then obviously on the flip side of it, we're now playing Watford on the 5th of February. It's been rearranged. And now they'll be without Dennis. So then that's obviously a good aspect to it. So it swings and roundabouts, really. But yeah, this is the season that I think we're going to go, to be honest. We're just not playing well. We're not Burnley that people recognise. Like, I was speaking to Robbie on my channel yesterday, and he was saying, Sean Dyche is a battler and things like that. I expect Burnley to stay up. You want him in the trenches when he's with you. And I agree with that, but Burnley are known for putting the bodies on the line, making last-ditch tackles and things like that, and they're just not doing it this season. Whatever's happened from last season, I'm not too sure. We've been in this position before and got out of it. 2017, I think it was, we got beat 5-1 at home on Boxing Day against Everton, and I walked away from the turf then thinking, we're down, I don't think we're going to get out of this, but we turned it round, so fingers crossed we can do it again this season, but we just don't look like Burnley. I feel like we've lost our identity a little bit.
Yeah, and you did say you don't really know what to put it down to. Is it just a case of it's come and there's no real reason to it? Is it a case of the board not supporting Sean Dyche in the summer? Because with Sean Dyche, I feel like he's faced a lot of criticism in his Premier League tenure with Burnley, but I give him credit for what he's done. He kept Burnley up there with the top half finishes here and there as well. So he's done quite well over time.
Yeah, it's mad. Like, when people who know football, like yourself and Robbie and other like YouTubers that I've spoken to, they always tend to say like, he's a really good manager. He's done very, very well. But he gets a lot of criticism from the faceless people on Twitter. You know what I mean? Who are just spouting crap for the sake of it. So I try not to pay too much attention to that, to be honest. But he does get a lot of stick, and he doesn't get linked to the jobs that I feel he deserves. Like, there's been several times where he could have easily, in my opinion, gone to Everton and could have done a good job. He could have easily gone to a club like Palace and done a good job, but he's just not even ever mentioned. And for whatever reason that is, I'm not too sure. Obviously, I'm glad he's still here. But yeah, I'm not sure. Going back to the original question, I'm not sure exactly what it is, because I do think we're actually a little bit stronger, or we were before we sold Chris Wood. We're actually a little bit stronger in terms of personnel this season. Obviously, bringing in Maxwell Cornet, who's absolutely fantastic, bringing in Nathan Collins, who's a very good backup, and bringing in Connor Roberts, who, when we've seen him, he's played well, but he had quite a bad illness, so he's not been able to play too much. So I do feel like the squad itself is a little bit stronger. I just maybe feel like the spine of the squad, your Ben Mees, your midfield, your Nick Popes, and your Chris Woods before he went to Newcastle, they're all just getting old a bit. And even some of the squad players like Jay Rodriguez and Ashley Barnes, they're all the wrong side of 30. And I say that as a 33-year-old man, you know what I mean? But they're all the wrong side of 30. It's all for them. So I just think age is catching up with a few of the players. We've stood still for too long in the transfer market. I believe we should have moved James Tarkowski on a few years ago, and I don't mean that because I don't like him or because he's poor, but we don't, like, for Burnley to invest in the transfer market, you've got to keep the conveyor belt of players coming in and going out. We did it with Michael Keane. He went to Everton, and he's done all right at Everton until probably this season, and then we just had Tarkowski to come in and do quite well, and then go out and buy more players. Like when Andre Gray left and went to Watford for 18 million, I think we bought 3 players for that and replaced the entire spine, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like we've just stood still for too long, and ultimately the players are just getting old and it's catching up with him a little bit. But in the summer, like I said, we actually spent some decent money and brought some players in for Burnley, spent decent money for Burnley and brought some players in. So it's one of them. I just think the spine of the team's getting a bit old. I think Chris Wood has left and then said he was in a comfort zone. So I think that, to me, says his heart wasn't really in it. I get the feeling that Tarky's heart isn't really in it anymore. And the midfield is just poor. We lose a lot of games in midfield, The perfect example is the first day of the season, 1-0 up against Brighton, could have been 3-0 up at half time. We were doing okay in midfield, but then Potter brought Lallana on, put 3 in the middle, and they just absolutely outplayed us. And that has happened about 3-4 times this season where we've been winning or doing well. Their managers changed it. We've not had the capabilities to change it, and they're going to win the game. I think if you're going to get a lot of joy in midfield, depending on who you play, actually, because obviously I'm not sure what squad you've got available at the minute.
Nor do I, mate.
Yeah, but if you get a lot of joy in the midfield, which I think you will, then yeah, I think you'll go on and win the game comfortably. But yeah, we'll see.
Well, on that, really, before I do ask one more question on Sean Dyche, our midfield is looking very light, Joe. I mean, Xhaka's suspended, Partey suspended. That means Lokonga is the only senior midfielder available, with El Nene currently African Cup of Nations with Egypt still in the tournament. It looks like it'll be a Lokonga, Odegaard. I doubt Patino comes in for this type of game, bearing in mind how young he is. And Sean Dyche will probably be licking his lips at, you know, the lack of experience in our side, because that's something you do have with Burnley. And I wanted to ask, if Burnley go down, is it the end of the road for Sean Dyche with Burnley?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to be one of these reactionary clubs that just gets rid of it. Like, it's looking like Ranieri is going to get sacked at Watford again, so they'll be going into the 3rd manager of the season. And we know that doesn't really work. Obviously, Watford will point to the fact that they stayed up for a few seasons before they went down last time, but I think ultimately it's failing them again. Last time we was in the Championship with Sean Dyche, we won 23 games in. Well, sorry, we didn't win 23 games. We went undefeated 23 games from Boxing Day till the end of the season, and just absolutely romped away with the league. We lost 5 games all season, and the season before that, the last time we was in the Championship, I said Champions League then, didn't I? I meant Championship, obviously. We only lost 5 games then. So in the last 2 seasons with Sean Dyche in the Championship, we've only lost 10 games. So I think if you're going to want someone as your manager in the Championship, it's going to be Sean Dyche. He's proven the last 2 times he can get out of it. I do feel, though, that if we go down, it'll just be because of what I've said earlier about how long we've stood still for. I think it's going to be a massive rebuild job. So maybe Dyche isn't the man for that. And we might end up, if we're like 16th after October, then I'll probably revisit that and say maybe it's time to go, Sean. But I don't we've given the chance, because I think he deserves a chance. Everything he's done for the club. Yeah,
to be honest, I didn't necessarily ask in terms of hard feelings. I kind of asked you mentioned comfort zone with players as well. And maybe there's a comfort zone with Sean Dyche and, how it's been over there. Maybe I thought it was just the end of the road in terms of how far he can bring you. But you're right. If you want any manager to go into the Championship and bring you back up, it would be him. So I guess we'll see as the season pans out. Joe, last time we spoke, I think we played Burnley pretty early on in the season. I think it was the game after Norwich where we had lost our first game. Beat Norwich, and it was an Odegaard free kick that won it for us again.
Yeah, it was. I remember being on your show and talking about Arteta, because obviously the big massive thing back then was Arteta in or Arteta out. Yeah, it seems to have died down a little bit now, although I'm still seeing people arguing on Twitter about Arteta in or Arteta out.
The FA Cup and League Cup domestic cups we're out of in the past couple of weeks has kind of it's very volatile right now. Results can kind of swing the mood, and I actually get it at the moment. When you're in a season without Europe and you get knocked out the 2 domestic cups in January, you're either throwing this season down the pan or you're trying to scramble top 4. So I understand the pressure on at the moment.
Yeah, I feel like I remember I was saying something about Arteta, and I said I think it'd be a long time till Arsenal get back to where they were. And I remember you clipping it up and putting it on your socials and stuff. But I've got to remember, I was very, very, very impressed with the way Arsenal defended in that game against Burnley, and mainly Ramsdale. I remember when you brought Ramsdale in, I was like, why are they buying him? He's been relegated with 2 teams. He's not good enough. And he's come in and he's proved me wrong, and I'll put my hands up. He's been class. I think he has. The reason why you're defensively a lot better this season is because of Ramsdale. He just comes out and collects so many crosses, takes the pressure off the defence. I'd love a keeper like that at Burnley. Don't get me wrong, I love Nick Pope, and I think he's a very good keeper. But I think he's been a little bit off this season as well. He made a couple of mistakes earlier in the year. And he's been fantastic. And I just think that is why Arsenal are doing a lot better this season, is because of the defending is a lot better. I think Ben White's come in and done okay as well, but I believe that's a bit of a debate on the Arsenal channels. But I like Ben White as well. But I was very impressed with the way Arsenal defended. But it was just a case of we just couldn't break you down. We put loads of crosses in. Ramsdale caught them all. Ben White headed the majority of the other ones away. So I was very impressed with Arsenal in that game.
Yeah, I mean, with Aaron Ramsdale, I do completely agree with you. The way he's vocal, that there's a certain sense of accountability at the back now. When things don't necessarily go right, Ramsdale is someone who talks. You can see his frustration or his happiness with a move, And I think that leads to the defenders being more accountable, taking more responsibility. And that's something that's been lacking at Arsenal Football Club for many years now. I think the lack of accountability has just led to mistake after mistake after mistake, apology after apology after apology. Not that we haven't received a couple apology already in 2022. We've got 2 statements apologizing from Granit Xhaka and Thomas Partey. So hopefully they're the last of 2022. But some accountability is needed to kind of push on self-critique and build as a team and a club. And I think Ramsdale definitely adds a lot to that because of the character he is. Not necessarily just the quality is shown, but the character he is. I'm completely with you on that. Is it fair, Joe, for me to, because I have been saying it, for me to ask for top 4 now in the position that we're in? No domestic cups. We've only got the Premier League. Or is the Antonio Conte factor at Tottenham, Man United's quality? Are these factors that really would be unfair for me to put pressure on Arteta?
I think if you demanded it and saying, if we don't finish top 4, then Arteta's got to go, I think that would be a little bit unfair. But I think you can expect to at least challenge for it. And you say that the Conte and Man United factors, should they come into it? They should come into you thinking a little bit, obviously, because they're your main rivals. But I think you've got to look at what you're doing. And if you're good enough, you'll finish in the top 4, regardless of what other teams are doing. Yeah. So I respect the fact that you can say we should be aiming for it, and you can expect it. But if you are saying things like Arteta's failed if he's not got there, I think that would be a little bit much because of I think you've made progress. Like I said, I would criticise Arteta when I spoke to you early in the season. But again, I'm not Arteta in or Arteta out because I've not got a horse in this race, obviously. Yeah. But I think Arsenal fans should look at it and think, we have turned the corner. I feel, I'm from the outside looking in, I feel like you've turned the corner this season. I think the Arteta project has finally started to reap rewards a little bit. You're now challenging for the top 4. I think, I was going to say I think you'll get it. And I change my mind, honestly, every week about it because it's so close. I do change my mind every week. I said it recently on a different channel that I think Arsenal will sneak into it. But after Tottenham and United won in midweek, I'm now thinking it might be a little bit difficult. But then obviously you've got us at home tomorrow, so you should get the points. Honestly, it could really go either way, and I do think it's a little bit of a lottery. I think if anybody just puts a bit of a run together, then they'll get there. But I think all 3 teams are capable of putting that run together. I really do. So it's going to be a difficult one to call, that one.
Yeah, 100%. Even with Chelsea's form in the last couple of months, dragging them
true.
More and more into it. And this weekend, it's Chelsea, Tottenham, and it's Man United, West Ham. So this Burnley game for Arsenal is a chance to kind of, build a little gap between one of the top 4 rivals. What's your feelings on this match then, Joe? You haven't played much football in January so far due to the cancellations and whatnot. You've lost Chris Wood, which is a big loss to Burnley's squad and style of play. How are you going into this game? Is it a point and run, or is it, potentially go for the win?
No, I think it's if we had a point, I'd be absolutely over the moon if we got a point out of this game. I think we're in a position where we're bottom of the table. We've lost our main striker and only goal scorer for the last 3 seasons up until Kone coming in, really. So I think we are looking down rather than up at the minute. And I'm normally quite a positive Burnley fan. Any of my friends watching that will be laughing their head off now at that comment. But I mean, like when I'm on like YouTube and stuff, I try not to be too negative and I try and say, no, we can do it. But I think at the minute, I do think like we are struggling at the minute. I think I'm confident that we're going to go down this season with the way that we're playing at the minute. The Chris Wood situation, it's a weird one. It's obviously a blow, don't get me wrong, and I was gutted to see him leave. I put my thoughts on the channel and everything. I feel like he got a lot of unnecessary criticism from Burnley fans just because he's like a big lump type of player. But, he's a finisher. He's a good finisher. He's probably the best finisher that we've seen at Burnley in our lifetime, I feel. I think he's a better finisher than Danny Ings is a better finisher than Charlie Austin. I think them two are probably better overall players, especially Ings. But I think Chris Wood is such a good finisher, and I do think we'll miss that. But it kind of forces Dash to do something different. I think we were going down with Wood, to be honest. So I think it forces Dash to do something a little bit different. It can't really do much different at the minute with the squad that we've got. So it's probably, in my opinion, I think it'll be 4-5-1 with Jay Rodriguez up top on his own, which is just tedious and means that you'll just break us down pretty much comfortably. But when we bring players in, if we bring players in, they're going to have to be different types of players, I think. It might force him to do different types of things. And who knows, he might even start venture into 4-3-3 and you know, or you know, wing backs or something like that. And I think it might force us to do something a little bit different. So it could end up forcing our hand into like a new style of play. And Burnley at their best when it's Burnley against the world, you know, and backs against the wall. So if Dyche can take that emotion of losing Chris Wood and turn it from a negative into a, right, everyone's against you now, into like a battling emotion, then I think that can help us really, really well. But as for this game, you're good at home. You know, yeah, you've got a couple of players missing. It probably is a good time to play you. If we were, you know, battling for top 10 and we're having a good season, for example, I might be like, oh, you know, we might sneak a win. We won there last season. But I think at the minute, I just think with the way that we are and the way that you are, even with your injuries, you've just been strong at home. So I do think you'll get the win.
I actually don't think you lot are going to get relegated, Joe, and that's my opinion on it. I think Sean Dyche has got enough about him to kind of take you out of the position you're in. But you are right. Points on the board is definitely greater than games in hand. Even though I look at the 5 in hand and Norwich, and I look at that one as, you know, there's still a scrap to be had there. And I don't think Burnley would lose it. I actually hope Burnley don't lose it, because as much as they've caused us problems over the years, like I said, I give credit to Burnley and Sean Dyche and what they've managed to do over it. It actually reminds me of earlier on when Sam Allardyce was at Bolton, and they used to be like a thorn in our side for Arsenal Football Club. And then slowly but surely that Yuri Jokayev came in, JJ Okocha came in, and the style of football would change a bit. And it's similar to what you're saying there in terms of different type of personnel and maybe a different type of playing style potentially on the horizon for Burnley. I'm confident against Burnley. I think we should get the job done. I'll start off with the predictions, Joe, and I'm going to say I went with 3-1 initially, then I brought it down to 2-1 because I just think there's going to be a little, you know, a little fight from Burnley, I think. And with the lack of games, I think you'll be up for it. And Cornet's been a great signing for you guys. I mean, he adds something different, someone we've got to look out for. So I'm going to go with a 2-1 Arsenal win. I think we'll get the job done, but it won't be as easy as people might think on paper. Yeah.
Well, you're quite lucky because Cornet's still at AFCON, so you won't have to watch out for him. He got through. Ivory Coast, unfortunately, got through. It was a weird feeling. Like I was watching him play, and I'm thinking, I obviously want them to do well because I love Cornet, but please come home, come back to the turf, mate. I don't see a scoring, if I'm being honest with you. I think it'd be a comfortable run-of-the-mill Arsenal win. And I hate doing this on YouTube all the time because I know for a fact if we stay up, someone will clip it up and be like, see, you said we're going down. You said we're going down. But I do think it'd be a comfortable win for Arsenal. I think if we score, it'll be a set piece. We've not been that good defensively. So I'm going 2-0 Arsenal. And I'm very interested to see what Dyche is going to do with the side, because is he going to go 4-4-2 with Vidra up top, or is he going to go 4-4-2 with Aaron Lennon, or is Lennon going to be on the wings, or is he just going to go 4-5-1 and play one up front? We just don't know, because it would have been the same team every single week with Woody up top, whereas now he has to do something different. We haven't played since Woody's left yet because of the cancellation, so I'm quite interested to see what he does. But yeah, I think Arsenal will win this one 2-0.
And yeah, I forgot about that Maxwell Cornet thing. I probably agree with you on the 2-0 now, but I'll stick with the 2-1 just in case one of those set pieces cause us a problem, as they've done in the past. Joe, let them know where they can find you. I'm going to put your channel at Turfcast in the description below. Is there anywhere else they can find you at?
Yeah, like you said, there's Turfcast on YouTube, there's Turfcast on all the usual social media platforms. But I remember last time I spoke to you, when I was talking to you off air, I remember saying to you, I'm going to set up another channel where I can talk about other clubs and stuff like that. Because obviously Turfcast is just a Burnley channel, so I don't want to populate it with like Premier League predictions and things like that. So this week I have set up a new channel. I've called it Joe Tom Red. There's one video on there at the minute just introducing myself, but I'm going to start doing leaky things, talking about all the other clubs and the latest news, so you can find me on there as well if you really want to.
All right, well, send me that and I'll put it in the description below as well. So people, you've heard it. You can find Joe, 2 channels in the description below. Joe, thank you for giving us your time this morning. We'll see how the game goes. And like I said, Joe, I think you lot will stay up. So I think we'll be talking again.
Fingers crossed, mate. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. All right, then, Joe. Love for that, man. And people, hope you guys have enjoyed. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Give us your thoughts, predictions, lineups, all of that. And yeah, make sure you show some love to Joe. Links in the description below. Love for the love. Peace.